2 years ago, I moved to Vietnam as an English teacher, and I started doing a part-time job along with my full-time job. And the reason for that is that I had debt back home and I had to pay it. So once I did that, I think my brain got used to the amount of money I was making from working the two jobs, and I sort of just went with it. A month, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, I was working a part-time job, but there was a point where I realized that I don't know why I'm doing it anymore. The only reason why I'm doing it is the money. But then again, when you think of the money, you say, well, I don't need that much money. The amount of time I was sacrificing and the amount of time I was giving to my part-time job was just taken from other important things in my life. It was taking everything. It took my gym time, it took my running time, it took the time where I used to, do things, maybe play the guitar, maybe watch something, maybe just like hang out with friends and hang out with people you like to hang out around. Even calling your family, you could do a lot of things or you could be doing a lot of things that could have some kind of a benefit to your life without actually realizing. And you wouldn't know until you actually stop doing these things. A year after, I decided to stop. And I didn't stop because it was just too much, or because the workload was a lot, or because I hated it. But I stopped because I realized that given that amount of time for another job was basically me giving up on other important aspects of my life. And that translated into a lot of bad things. Mentally, I wouldn't say that I was in the best, shape mentally, maybe. I gained a lot of weight. I noticed that I wasn't going out as much, I wasn't meeting people as much, my social life was just going downhills, even though I met a lot of people, I was new to the country, but still I met a lot of people, and I could easily socialize more, but I didn't. And those things will will damage a lot of aspects in your life, and you wouldn't really notice it. So when I moved here, I was super fit. Like, I was so close to getting to 10% body fat because of how much work I have done on my body back home. But then again, when you start, going to a part-time job in the evening or on the weekends, now you're taking time from the gym. Now you're taking time from your important tasks. These tasks that actually give you the advantage. Let's say meal prepping, maybe cooking the right kind of food, eating the right kind of food. I think the more you're gonna spend at a part-time job along with your full-time job, the more you're going to realize that you don't have any time to do these things. You don't have time to care about things that matter to you, right? And not only that, but it got to a point where even my sleep was actually going downhill. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't resting well, and life just became this weird cycle of waking up, going to work, then going to work, then going to work, then coming back home, eating bullshit, then sleeping, then waking up in the morning again and going to work, and you keep on repeating the cycle until it got to a point where I was like, well, I don't understand why I'm doing this anymore. Like, it doesn't matter anymore, because the money is not worth what I lost. The industrial age story, or how we came to this new order, is very interesting, and it tells us a very important story about human beings and about time. time is something that we don't really take seriously, and I think society nowadays have been poisoned by the idea of time equals money. The fact that we speak about this and we think that this is right has ruined a lot of aspects of human beings, whether it's human being relations, whether it's the way we deal with life, whether like I think it just ruined a lot of things. It's horrible. The industrial age story tells us that human beings were working for very, very long hours, and then they discovered that the workers weren't able to actually keep going farther. So some of them died, some of them got very sick and couldn't actually work anymore. So they brought it to the 8 hours a day, so humans can just stay in that, in that sweet spot where they wouldn't burn out too much, or or not work at all, basically. Or I would say all of us know why that has been done, because the studies have proven that that's how they boosted the productivity. But that's the thing that we don't really think about nowadays, is that productivity is not some kind of like a you shouldn't really think of productivity as your worth in life, because that's what the modern life wants you to think. They want you to think that productivity is the most important aspect of your life, which is, in my opinion, very wrong. Life has more things. Like, you have to enjoy your life, you have to meet people, you have to talk, you have to go on walks, you have to go traveling and discover things. You shouldn't just like put yourself in one box and work the whole day and do the same thing over and over again, because you will not be able to keep that up for a long time without actually crashing, without actually losing your identity as a person. And that's very dangerous, because you wouldn't realize it. You only realize it when it happens. You only realize it when there is so much damage to your life. You worked so much that there was nothing to save anymore. It got to a point where it got so bad that you had to stop, or maybe you just started hating it altogether. I realized after a while that I had gained a lot of weight, almost 20 kilograms within maybe a year and some months, because I neglected my diet, I neglected my my training. I started, just eating whatever, sleeping like, whatever. I wasn't sleeping well. It was just horrible. And then I decided to just stop. And the moment where I stopped, everything changed for me. I started going back to who I am. I started giving more time to things that actually matter in my life. Because you have to understand that work is not your identity. What you do is not your identity. That's not you. That's a part of your life. That's how you make money. I'm not saying don't do it well or whatever. You're responsible for your actions in life. But work is not your identity. You are your identity. What you do is your identity. And if work gets to a point where it strips you from your identity, then it is going to do a lot of damage. And the money that you're gonna get from working these extra hours are not worth that. Because you might do it for maybe a month or two when you need a lot of money for something. Maybe you want to start a business, maybe you have debt like I had. But don't let yourself slip into working part-time jobs along with your full-time. The full-time job is already a lot. Imagine adding the part-time job on top of it. It's going to be very, very difficult to manage. And I think that's where I was saying that time is something that we don't appreciate anymore, and we've been conditioned to think that the thing that is worth a lot for our time is money, which is wrong, you know. Like, I know you have to know where to put your time. I'm not telling you not to work or not to put time into something that brings you money, but you have to know that if you put all of your time into getting money, then what are you doing? What's the other thing that you're doing with the money? Like, are you gonna live with that money? Because as far as I'm concerned, when I was doing that, I wasn't living. There was nothing else but making the money. It was just sitting on my bank account. Most of it was gone on trying to compensate for the damage I was doing to myself, I was doing to my body. Whether it's the food that I was eating from outside, I could have cooked at home and, you know, saved a lot of money and just, you know, maybe had healthier meals. And now I ended up being fat, basically, because I just neglected that in search of the money, in pursuit of the money. And that's a lesson that I learned, and I had to go through, you know, a very, very rough period in my life where everything around me was damaged, and I think that part of my life had taught me a lot about the importance of time for human beings, and the importance of the only thing that you don't get back. There's nothing that could compare to time, because you can get everything back, the money back, but the years, you never get them back. The time, you never get it back. Once it passes, you know. So you have to really appreciate the time that you have, and you have to be smart with it. If you're gonna work, but when it's time to live with the money that you worked for, then go and live, you know, because if you don't live, then you will have to deal with the consequences of not living, which is, you know, I've already told you the story. This video has been on my mind for a long time. It's not something that is like structured or anything. It's more of like a rant, more of like something that I have realized lately, and I thought that maybe it would be a good idea to share it with everybody else. I think a lot of people are in that situation. They're doing a lot of work and they're not enjoying their life. They're not traveling enough. They're not seeing their friends enough. They're not seeing their family enough. They're not doing any of these things, and money. I'm not making the money to put it in a bank account, and I'm only gonna do with it if I don't live. What am I gonna do with the money in my bank account? I don't need it in my bank account. I wanna spend it, you know? And if I'm gonna spend it, if I have enough time and I have the right systems in place, I can spend it on the things that will actually make my life better rather than ruin it. So, yeah, I hope this message resonates with whomever is listening, and see you in the next video.